Hello and welcome back. Before we get to part 2, Real Talk, please allow us to fulfill our capitalistic duty and plug our Patreon, the Contrarians Supplements.
That's right. For a small fee, you too can help the Contrarians rage on.
We have tiers ranging from just $1 to $10. It all depends on how much content you can handle.
Starting at $1, it's the Travoltis tier, which gets you access to new bonus episodes focusing on a new movie every month, as well as access to the patron chat. Join other patrons in making fun of our opinions.
Moving up to $3 is the Winonis tier, which unlocks access to our pre-recording notes, our video reviews, and our spin-off show, Contrarians After Hours.
That's a more laid-back space where we talk about other things we've been watching, reading, playing, thinking about. Sometimes it's related to the movies being covered in the main feed, but it usually isn't.
If you want to be part of those patrons who help us shape the show by telling us which movies to tackle, that's when you sign up for the $5 tier, the Embries, and the $10, the Gads.
Finally, all supplement subscribers, regardless of the tier, get access to our archive of special patron projects. Head over to patreon.com/contrarianprime now to join.
Be sure to listen through the end of the episode to find out what's coming up to the Contrarian Supplements this month. Now, it's time for some Real Talk.
Nunca puedes estar tan seguro de lo que percibe el público, ni de ti ni del personaje. Hay un ejercicio que yo hago con mis alumnos. Les propongo que cuando estén solos se llamen a sí mismos en voz alta. Es justamente para eso, para verse y sentirse desde fuera, ¿no? Yo sé que suena tonto,
No
pero
suena
te aseguro
tonto.
que es bastante angustiante, ¿eh? ¡Iván! 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 ¡Iván!
Qué fuerte. Pobres muchachos. Pobres muchachos.
I was curious, Julio, so I looked it up in between Contrarians Corner and Real Talk. Not quite the discrepancy I was expecting, but there is a little bit of a gap in the critical consensus and audience scores. Critical consensus being, or the tomato meter, 96% certified fresh. The popcorn meter, 77. So still erect and red is the popcorn bucket there, but I could definitely see this being a movie that some people, it was just too much for. It wasn't too much for me. I thought this movie was hilarious, but I could see it being too much for some. You know what I mean?
Too much as in too much inside baseball, or just that the characters are too unlikable?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. But to be fair, I don't... This strikes me as a movie just based on its reception and stuff. I don't know how many people saw this that were like, what are they talking about? You know, I imagine its box office wasn't overwhelming by any stretch. It was less than $5 million, which I would like that money. But for a motion picture starring Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas, not setting the world on fire. The characters are such shitty people. It's my, that thing I was talking about my dad when he complains about there's no likable characters, which often makes the best types of movies for people like myself and you, Julio. But I could see some people seeing this based off like the reception it got and just being like, I Tom Haverford, I do not like this.
So basically, you have no one to root for. Like that's the big obstacle that you could foresee.
And how annoying the characters are, and how if you're not interested in people talking about making a movie or acting. I mean, I could see some people finding it boring. Look, like I said, this does not, none of what I'm saying applies to me because I quite enjoyed this movie. But I watched it with the feeling of like, I could see some people that went into this not knowing much about it, really disliking it. So I was curious what the discrepancy or the difference was in the popcorn meter and tomato meter. And, 20%, that's a decent chunk. So that kind of checked out for me.
I think that the poster for the movie definitely potentially sells you a movie that's more on the lines of, the ones we quoted or we referenced in Contrarians Corner. So something like Tropic Thunder or what's another fun movie about making movies? I wouldn't say Singing in the Rain because that's too much of a classic. But, you see them. They look eccentric. Banderas has the sunglasses. The Martinez looks exasperated. And Penelope Cruz looks very confident and quirky. So, and it's about making a movie. So I think that you have a picture in your head of what's going to happen. And then it's like, oh, it's that. But also they're just like major shitheads. And it's just really relentless in how cynical it is. Yeah, I get it. But especially with Antonio Banderas, because he's such a... Penelope Cruz too, but I think Banderas even more so. He's just so Hollywood friendly by now. Like he's Puss in Boots, he was Il Mariachi. And so there's always a chance that he would bring his presence in the movie would bring a more mainstream audience to it. And some of those people might not like what they see once they sit down and watch this. So yeah, I get it.
To be fair, Antonio Banderas has made several of those. That's right. He was in the Spy Kids movies, for crying out loud. What was that one that got? I remember The Skin I Live In. I remember a lot of localers, the seniors going to see the new Antonio Banderas movie being turned off by that one.
That is a mindfuck. That's a great movie though. Like for him, that was a showcase. Yeah, I like him as an actor. I think I had a similar experience as you did when I took a quick glance at Penelope Cruz's filmography. I think I've seen a few more than you have. Mm. But overall, like I haven't seen Volver, and I guess in my mind, Banderas was the bigger draw. So I was surprised when I saw that she got first billing. Even though out of the two, she's the one that has 2 Oscar nominations. So he has 1, I think. He only has 1. But still, I mean, they're both like powerhouses.
I had no clue she was married to Javier Bardem.
Oh, yeah. They might have met during Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
That's like unfair levels of attraction for one couple to have.
Really? You don't think that that's actually written the stars?
No, it is. But it's like,
Okay.
It's like Colin Jost and
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, they're both just painfully good looking. Man, she's really funny in this. That part where she's got like the vacuum hose and she's talking into it and has the other end of it in her ear, and she's just saying like lesbian artist. I think one of the things I laughed the hardest at in the movie is when she's lecturing the actors about how sensitive she is. And you'll forgive me again because it's translation, so I'm not quoting it directly. But she goes, "Is it a gift? Yes, but it's also very stressful on me."
Yeah, she is really funny. I guess this is the funniest I've seen her be.
I've seen so little of her that I think Vanilla Sky is something that I usually immediately think of.
But look, I mean, in the first half, you said that you were afraid that she was going to be the Manic Pixie Dream Girl in this movie. And she is not, but she definitely is in Vanilla Sky.
Yes.
She was in one of the latter Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Really?
Yeah. She's one of the pirates. She's the captain of a ship.
Oh,
I think
no.
that's a movie that I screened and I was on my phone half the time. So I honestly couldn't tell you much about it other than me thinking, well, at least she's getting paid because these movies don't skimp in the budget, but also thinking she's so much better than this, which she is.
She was in The Counselor too. I think I might have screened that movie. Anyway, Penelope Cruz and her hair here in all its glory. I'm curious. A lot of this, again, is just, the premise of the movie is pretty simple. So a lot of my complimentary bits will be towards the acting and just some parts that made me laugh really hard. So let's go ahead and Julio. And first of all, do you want to do the negative quotes and then see what Ben had to say?
Yes. Yeah, because we know that Ben liked it. And also Ben wrote like a lot about his movie, which I appreciated. He went at length. So let's start with the rotten quotes. Let's start with Sebastian Scotney from the Arts Desk, who says, official competition is being touted as biting satire. But herein lies the problem. None of the characters have been drawn to create any empathy, while the script feels bitty, giving us a series of point-proving payoffs.
I don't think we're supposed to have empathy for any of these folks.
Yeah, but it's not a problem. We kind of toyed with that idea in Contrarians Corner. you don't have to like them, right? But you have to care about what happens to them. Or at least in theory, a successful movie makes you care on some level about one of the, at least either a character or the story. I don't think that necessarily applies, or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Were you rooting for something when you were watching this movie? Were you rooting for one of the three main characters to prevail in a way?
I mean, I was rooting for the movie to get made, but
for the sake of the old guy, or for the sake of Penelope Cruz, or
for the sake of the movie, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
The sake of the world.
Yeah, the art. But no, I was just having a good time just laughing at these characters, and how kind of dumb Antonio Banderas is, how egotistical Penelope Cruz is, and then how just high on his own farts constantly that Oscar Martinez is. There's that part I couldn't really figure out how to shoehorn it into Contrarians Corner, but Penelope Cruz catches him. He thinks he's alone, and he's acting out what his Oscar acceptance speech would be, in which he rejects the award.
Yes.
He venido a declarar formalmente que rechazo este premio. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
And then he does the thing, you do when you're a little kid, where he makes the sound of the crowd.
The level of pretension that was, because at least like Brando didn't show up. That's how you protest.
Yeah, exactly.
But he starts his speech by saying, "I'm going to say this in Spanish." And then
yes.
Yeah, I had a similar experience.
He calls the Oscars a circus at one point in the movie.
Yes, yeah. I had a similar experience, but I was aware of it. As I was watching, I was like, I don't really care for any of these people, but that's not affecting my enjoyment of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot about the performances and just the humor, because if the humor wasn't sharp enough or the performances were not engaging enough, maybe that would be a problem. I'll be like, why the fuck do I care? but I was hooked. Next, Victor Squirrel from otroscines.com says, Khan and Duprat shoot like apes with machine guns, indiscriminately, without thinking too much or at all about the implications of their actions or even why they are perpetrating them. This is originally a review in Spanish, according to the Rotten Tomatoes website. So I wonder if it's a little less harsh in Spanish. But shoot like apes with machine guns. It's just like pretty hardcore thing to say about the directors. I like the way this was shot. I thought that there was, for the most part, I thought that there was, the comedy's well staged. There was some stuff that I was like, man, I wish, I don't find it super funny, the setup of having these people by themselves in these huge rooms that are empty. And there's a lot of that in this movie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like these structures that are meant to house like a lot of
like wide open, and also like a lot of camera on a swivel, like on a half circle, following characters moving around in these fucking warehouse like settings.
Like I get what they're trying to say, what that's supposed to illustrate about their lifestyle, their lives in general, but I guess I'm used to my comedies to, like I said, a little bit of Contrarians Corner, a little bit more lively, and that's just what they went with, I guess, But I don't think that that's bad filmmaking. I think that that's a very specific choice that has intent. This guy's saying that they are not even thinking about how they shoot things, which is, I don't think that's a fair comment. Next, Jose Roberto Landaverde from Cine Premier says, the last few minutes become macabre, grotesque, and melodramatic.
Yes.
Not a bad thing.
It's kind of the point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it ruins the movie. I think it's still funny. Among, it can be all those three things and still be funny, which I think it is. Like the reactions at that press conference, that Q&A. I mean, Penelope Cruz is amazing, just with the disinterest that she has.
I think, it's like twofold. One, it's a cold world, so we better bundle up. And two, that's how some of those folks are, man. Auteurs, but also it's a pretty cutthroat business, man. I know, like everything else, we try to pretend like it's all sunshine and rainbows and friends today, but it's what makes it funny. And, if you want to also go a bit deeper, you can kind of want to observe the the psychology of an actor, the like what they can do, the set of skills that it takes to be an accomplished high level actor. It can be used for good and bad. I don't know. I found a lot of it interesting, but yes, if you're a eternal optimist and want everything to be show the bright side of things, then this is certainly not a movie for you.
Yeah, I think Jose wanted the movie to just have a happy ending. They make the movie and they become friends after that. They keep making movies together.
Yes. They're the new, they're Farley and Spade if Farley hadn't passed away.
There you go. Yeah. So Ivan is Farley and Banderas is Spade. Last one, Joseph Tomestic from Loud and Clear Reviews says, I am not kidding when I say that I needed to take a break halfway through my viewing because of how relentlessly bored I was getting.
Oh, that's a shame.
Man, that must have been somebody that fits what you were saying earlier. The movie was just not for them. I can't imagine being bored by this movie.
Of all the reactions to have to it, yeah, being bored is a surprising one.
You can be maybe repelled. If somebody tells me I had to stop because I just couldn't stand these people, I'll be like, okay, I get it. But bored? I don't know. But anyway, that was the last quote. And now we move on to the person that threw this movie our way, our friend, patron Ben Murray. So first he quoted his review at the time. He said, so this was my review at the time. It says, indulgently delightful fare for film fans everywhere. Arguably the ultimate satire of movie making, covering pretension through to ideologies as conveyed by and through actors and their directors. Cruz puts in her best performance ever as the passionate and unorthodox lesbian director. Banderas plays the Hollywood everyman who turns up, says the lines, and that's where it ends. Martinez is his opposite in every way, and he is Korn's acclaim and accolades in pursuit of true art. These three performances contain two largely dialogue-driven scenes during rehearsal for a millionaire producer's Twilight Wish is a recipe for magic. If only it didn't become a little unruly towards the end, this would have been perfect. So that was past Ben. And then present-day Ben says, I said possibly the ultimate satire movie making, but actually it might just be the ultimate satire full stop. Top 3 at least, right alongside Dr. Strangelove and American Psycho. I'd be interested to hear which of the trifecta performances won you over the most. Everyone's impeccable, but there's a certain pompous charm to Martinez's character that I can't help but feel seen. And what of the ending? The fall and the coma, something I can't quite put my finger on. Didn't work about those final scenes. It jumped from satire to something else and prevents it from getting the full 5 stars from me. But maybe that's just because I'd always just love to see people in a room talking for hours on end in my movies.
I thought the ending, it was hilarious. Like he woke up and started like ripping off, the hoses and shit that he's attached to in his hospital bed. And then he cries out the name of the man who wronged him. I laughed out loud, like hard at the shot of the bridge opening with Humberto. I thought that was like a wonderful callback.
Banderas dressed as an astronaut in the next shot.
Oh, so good. Trying to tell these stories of his other movies, and he walks away and the extras just kind of laugh at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's finish with the ending, or let's close this loop with the ending, because it didn't bother me. And I think that Ben might not just be talking about that last shot, but I think he says it takes a turn. And so, it definitely, I know you said you could kind of foresee something huge happening. I guess I wasn't thinking about it at all, because it kind of surprised me.
Like, everyone's just so dumb. Like, there's going to be a mishap of some sort.
But were you? Obviously you weren't, and I guess I wasn't either. Like, there was no disappointment in the fact that this ongoing conflict between Banderas and Martinez, that the way it ends is with Banderas kind of accidentally putting the guy in a coma.
Yeah. I just assumed he died when he fell, so yeah, I thought it was funnier that he went into a coma.
Well, I thought it was funny, like the whole thing. He comes back, Banderas comes back and pretends that he's finding out for the first time that this guy fell, and he hugs the wife, and I'm like, man, what an asshole. Like, I was laughing.
Muchas gracias. Maestro, amigo, hermano.
I wouldn't want to upset the character of Penelope Cruz. What's her name?
Lola.
Lola. Yeah, I don't want Lola to yell at me, but if I were to try to figure out what the movie's saying about anything, right? I don't think that there's, the characters, I don't think any of the characters have arcs. So it's just a depiction of how shitty the industry is and how self-serving everybody in the industry can be, and how these great artists that get acclaim from different sectors of the audiences, Banderas is the mainstream star, and Martinez is the art house star, and Penelope Cruz is the festival darling, right? But they're all bad people, and but they do bad things for the sake of art. And I don't think the movie's making any point beyond that, or at least I think that you could, any point that you want to say that the movie's making beyond that, it's probably a lot more on you and not the movie. I could be wrong. If you read anything deeper on the characters, let me know. But I feel that it's just a movie about how shitty the industry is and the people in the industry are. And so in that context, one of the actors almost killing the other one and keeping it to himself, and then using that as an opportunity to take over the movie, that's just par for the course. I don't know. I think that it's of a piece with everything else. Do you feel the same way? How else would this end?
No, I agree. Something bad had to happen, and the other one had to cover it up for their own personal gain. And then also the director, Penelope Cruz, Lola, it's perfect. And she doesn't give a shit. Her movie got made. So and it was made the way she wanted it. So yeah, I really enjoy the ending from the narrative perspective. The thing of him waking up from the coma and crying out the name of Felix, just like they said, the icing on top.
Yes.
Because I found it so funny.
Yeah, that is just you're right. It's a cherry on top. The story's not over. I think, I don't know how serious they are with that final monologue of Penelope Cruz, where she's like, some movies stay with you forever. Is the implication that when the movie's over, now you're gonna keep wondering, oh, but what happens next? I don't, because it's over. It's a joke at the end. He woke up, and I'm not invested enough in the characters and their fates to figure out what's gonna happen to Antonio Banderas now. I just thought it just feels like a joke. I wouldn't overthink it. But I guess you can the trick that this movie pulls is that any critique that you throw at it, then the filmmakers can just point at the Penelope Cruz character and say, didn't you hear what she said?
No shit.
Right? Even if she's saying at the end of the movie something that makes it sound like you should be thinking about it, it's no, you just should let the movie be, and don't try to put meaning on it. So yeah, I think that Ben, it sounds like the ending, that climax, worked a little better for Alex and me than it did for you. But the other big thing that he asked is if you felt that one performance is above the others out of the main three. Do you think that there's a clear winner? Because all three are good.
Yeah, they're great. The Ivan character I found funniest, I guess I would say. To me, the funniest joke in the entire movie. And I did not expect them to circle back to it, so it made it even better. So when Antonio Banderas says he has pancreatic cancer, right? It shows that night that Ivan is browsing and reading about, he's on the WebMD reading about pancreatic cancer, and there's an ad on the side for dental bleaching, and then he just clicks on that, and then we see him scrolling, reading about that, thinking about himself, and then a half hour, 40 minutes later in the movie, when they're doing they're actually shooting the closing scene, they're getting ready for it, and Penelope Cruz pulls him aside and says, "Did you do something to your teeth? They're really white." Dude, I fucking lost it. I thought that that is remarkably my shit. A really throwaway joke that's referenced again when you don't expect it to be later in the movie. But also just we talked about the faux Oscar acceptance speech or rejection speech, and how seriously he takes himself, and the moments of him prepping himself. Matthew McConaughey, his character in Eastbound and Down, would have moments like that where he would, kind of put a finger up and close his eyes and think real hard to himself, and then just, get himself in the zone or whatever. And so I liked the Ivan character best, but I think it works because of all three of them, definitely. I can't say I was pulling for one over another, but Ivan, when he would not be on screen, I would be like, "Where's Poochie? What could Poochie be doing?"
Where the first time that he made me laugh out loud is when they're at the first table reading, and he talks about how he teaches his students to close their eyes and call their own names, and then he starts demonstrating, and so it's just him going, Ivan. And the longer he does, because he doesn't end, he keeps going and going.
He has that part too where we see it's just the scene of him with his class, and how he talks to him and he tells them that only one of them will succeed. He's
Maybe.
like, there's only one person here that'll maybe be good enough to succeed. He's just such a dick, and it's and the thing is too, he thinks he's right up till the very end, like when he's at the party and whatnot. One, my man wasted a whole ass lobster, which made me mad, because take you back to my Vegas story where the first night we were there, we went to the Palms buffet and I ate 4 lobsters, and I was, dude, yeah, that made me mad.
No
But anyway,
lobster goes away. No lobster left behind.
there should not be any lobster left behind. But yeah, even up until the end, he thinks he's right. He thinks his way is the right way, and I enjoy that about this movie. Is what it does is it shows you both the most serious, quote unquote, proper way to do it, and then the kind of laissez-faire, this is my job, and I can turn it on when I want to approach. And what the movie tells you is neither is the right way, and you can be a dickhead in either situation.
Yes. Regardless of your approach to acting, you can be a dick.
Yeah.
I think I land more on it's not that I prefer the method as displayed in the movie. It's not that I agree that the Banderas approach to acting is better, but I appreciate the attitude, I guess. I mean, he's also an asshole, but I really liked his type of pretension. I think I find more palatable. So when he's telling both Penelope Cruz and Ivan, he's like, listen, my character doesn't have a past, just like his character doesn't have a past. They're just words on paper. And when it's my turn to read them, I'll read them with conviction. But that's all you need. When you go to the doctor, you don't need to know the doctor's backstory. You just need the doctor to wear a white coat and have a stethoscope. And I was like, I really like that matter-of-fact approach that his character had to acting. That's not to say I didn't find Ivan funny, because I did. But I mean, it's like, don't take offense, Ben. I did not identify with Ivan at all. Like, that type of pretension gets on my nerves. Whereas like the Banderas pretension, I was like, yeah, I get it, He's the approachable one.
Maestro, por fin nos conocemos. Va a ser un verdadero honor trabajar contigo.
As I've gotten older, I've gotten way more into food culture, and not to the point of like I can cite things page and verse, but I enjoy cooking a lot more and learning about it and learning the different, the art to it. And I think there are so many people like Ivan when it comes to food that need a Felix in their life to be like, dude, nothing wrong with a Big Mac every now and then,
Yes.
And so I know exactly what you mean, because there's some people that I can listen to, or I will listen to with food, talk about with that level of, this is the right way. I know what I'm talking about. And it's just like, dude, go fuck yourself.
I mean, they have that moment where they're talking about the Oscars. Like Banderas is like, yeah, and then we're going to go to the Oscars. And Ivan's like, no, I wouldn't go. You can go. And I'm like, yeah, I would go. I'll go with Banderas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go have fun.
One, or the main thing in that situation is he's just trying to like establish like a buddy with him, and he immediately returns it back. He rejects it much like he would the Oscar.
Yeah, and then Banderas, of course, not intentionally, but still insults his wife. In I wrote the Pulp Fiction moment.
That part's really funny. Yeah, the one with all the shit in her face.
Yeah. So I guess in my case, advantage Banderas. Even though I agree with Ben, in my limited experience with Penelope Cruz, this might be her best performance, the best that I've seen, because she is on fire, and the way that
Agreed.
She just handles everybody, and you can tell how little patience she has for all these people that she has to work with. But then she does her best to manipulate them and have her vision prevail. I thought she was great.
Talk about something that'll likely come off pretentiously from me. We've watched so many movies that I feel how do I want to word this? So the beginning of the movie, right before the title card hits, she's looking at the camera, and then obviously at the end of the movie, she's looking at the camera. There is such a difference, and it requires an intangible that I don't know if I could ever accurately explain, but it is a level of acting that made me feel as though she was looking at me and not just looking into the camera. Michael Fassbender is an incredible actor. When he looks into the camera in shame, I want to throw my can of beer at the television. Here, it's like it adds to kind of the trance that this movie, if it has you, of course, the trance this movie has you in. It's obviously because people don't look like Penelope Cruz. She has a really unique look. But even the part, like I said, it's so dumb. Like the directing pair, Gaston Duprat and Mariano Cohn, I would want to ask, I was like, yo, what was the point of that like long, just singular shot of Penelope Cruz practicing the floss? But she's like looking into the camera while she's doing it. So there's this kind of just hypnotizing quality to it, which in lesser hands or a less capable actor just comes across so eye-rolling. And I think there's a lot of things her character does in this that in lesser hands comes across eye-rolling.
Yeah, out of the three, she could be insufferable.
Yes. If the movie fucks up the tone, or if this particular the role of Lola is given to someone else who, yes, you're exactly right. It could be disastrous, insufferable. It's one of those very precarious characters from a performance perspective. She does not need my seal of approval, Penelope Cruz, that is, but I thought she was quite fantastic in this. And like I said, very funny. Everyone's really funny in this without having to get like kicked in the nuts. It's which on its own can come across pretentiously, because I could see some people watching this and not understanding why it's funny. You have to be, you don't have to be. It helps if you're a big movie nerd, right? To really like enjoy this movie and kind of understand why it's funny.
I think so, but it is a little bit to the side, because the average, I don't know, a movie nerd, like a movie buff, right? Somebody that has that love for movies, about making movies. What you're used to is what this movie isn't, like, which is the shooting. Like, there's so many movies about the shooting of the movie, and not so much the rehearsal. It feels like this is aimed a little bit more to like the acting side of it, and then, the directing too, but it's specifically a performance. It's about her trying to get these very specific performances out of these two actors and playing with their connection and their contrasts and all that stuff. So I can see how there may even be some film buffs that are not into this specific part. They're like, this is kind of boring. And you've been in what's it called, the Zombie Jesus, the
Zombie Christ,
right? And you were in FF. You've had like a little bit of experience in front of the camera, and I went to a couple acting workshops in Peru, and I've talked about my community theater time in College Station, and there is like, I could see that part of the rehearsing. I'm like, yeah, I have some familiarity with that process, and just that idea of I've made a couple shorts where I had to I try to have rehearsals with people, and so it's not the more glamorous part of filmmaking. The making the movie, the actual making of the movie, I think that's the fun part. And so to make a movie about the rehearsal, like, I get it, it's cheaper, right? You only need the three main actors, and you don't have to populate it with extras and everything. And so it's a lot easier to tell this story, to serve these conflicts before the movie is actually shot. And of course, the way the story plays by the time the movie gets shot is very different, because one of the actors is not there anymore. But I've met people that had that Ivan behavior and beliefs, teachers and actors. And then I've also met people that are just more like the Banderas character. They're just like, I'm a natural. I don't have to do all the thinking. But I remember having in both acting classes and writing classes where they'll be like, all right, well, this is the script. It might be something that you're writing, or maybe something that you're going to perform or whatever. But it's like, step one is writing a backstory of the character. And I always feel like, oh my God, that's just so boring. Can we just get to the fun part?
Yeah.
And I think that some people might feel that way when they see what the movie is about. It's like, oh, it's about the rehearsal. It's about the finding the character. Can you just jump to the part where they've already found the character and we're telling the story?
And that's the whole thing of that's why, you know, there's different movies, different tones, you know, and that's why actors like Yvonne exist and actors like Felix exist.
Yep.
Daniel Day-Lewis needed to do what he did to, like, there's a reason Daniel Plainview is going to be remembered as one of the most memorable characters in a film of my lifetime. But at the same time, you know, it's what Antonio Banderas says. You can just Krusty the Clown. Hey, here's Sideshow Mel. Here's Sideshow Mel. All right, bada bing, bada boom.
Hey! Krusty the Clown is back on the air!
The character of the director also, Penelope Cruz, I think if anything, to somebody that's not as into filmmaking, that might be the weirdest thing. Because I think that most people understand what an actor does and probably grasp the process.
I'm so insulated with like people like you and like, you know, our friends and the way I'm just used to talking about movies. I think like normal people probably still think like a director just sits in a chair and has the fucking cheer cone, you know, action, you know, the thing that they call into.
Yeah. So they would watch this movie, but like, what the fuck is going on with Penelope
Exactly.
Cruz?
Yeah.
It was like we watch it, we're like, oh yeah, she's just one of those directors.
There are some things with sound in this I really enjoy. We talked about the kissing scene, obviously, but I thought something was wrong with my TV or the stream was cracking up at the part where the sound's going in and out, and we don't know why, and then it cuts Penelope Cruz, and she's covering one ear and then both ears, and you know.
So that's another one of those little vignettes, like when she's doing the floss, where you're like, why is that there? Other than, I guess, to provide a break in between the big sequences.
But when I think about the movie, I'm like, now I can't not have that in there.
Yeah, but there's also there's a cut to Banderas has this thing on his stomach. I guess he's exercising his abs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where it was like, is this going to go anywhere? No, it's just a shot of him. Well, I guess the woman that he's hooked up with that night is just topless on the bed, just checking her phone or something. And then the scene with the Ivan and his wife listen to music. I mean, it's funny, but it's like, why is it there? I guess because it's a comedy and you need to make people laugh. But you know what I mean? Like that's a scene that really doesn't add anything to anything. It's just, well, now we're going to see what a surprise. He's also pretentious at home. He's not just pretentious when he's working. So, I mean, it's definitely a movie that is not too concerned with the structure of the story and making things flow, I think, one way or the other. It was just, as I was watching it, probably about halfway through, I realized, okay, so this is just set pieces. We're going to go from like this funny set piece to the next funny set piece. But it's not like we're building towards anything other than, well, and then the rehearsal's over and the movie, gets made. So I didn't have a problem with it. But I guess there was a part of me that was a little disappointed that there wasn't more of a narrative and that instead it was just a collection of jokes. Did you have that problem?
No. Now that I'm thinking about it, I know what you're talking about, but I was pretty enamored with this. But yeah, like most of the scenes will be like minimum like 4 minutes, like, and we stay in this one place for quite a period of time, and then we move into another place that we're going to stay at for a little bit of time. In between, there will be these quick, interstitials and whatnot. But no, I don't think that's something I had a problem. Obviously, I didn't have a problem with it because it's not something I really even mentally took note of.
Do you have a favorite set piece? Because I'll tell you mine, which hasn't come up yet. And it's when it's toward the end. I think it's their last day of rehearsal, and to warm up, Penelope Cruz has them just yell at each other. And it's like a solid, 2 minutes or so insulting each other. And at some point towards the end, Banderas says, man, it's not as funny in English. I don't think it flows as well in English, where he says something like, I shit on the entire, what's Ivan's last name? Is it Suarez? No, Suarez is the old guy.
Yvonne's last name is Torres.
Torres. He says, I shit on the entire Torres family. I shit on the Torres of the past. I shit on the Torres of the present. And I shit on the Torres of the future. I mean, by then he's built up because it's been, a series of back and forths where they keep just saying horrible things to each other. When he says that, it's almost like the final thing. I don't remember what Ivan responds, but when Bandera says that, I'm like, all right, he won. That was the killer blow. And then because they're going like back and forth, like the shots are back and forth, and then at some point it pulls back, and you get the two shot with Penelope Cruz in the background laughing, and she's kind of like lying down on the couch, and that's when you realize that it's an exercise. They're, she's having them do this as part of their warm up. But and again, I guess maybe some of it gets lost in the translation. Just reading subtitles as opposed to like really hearing them be super obscene in the way that because they're telling about like fucking each other's mothers, and like it's just extremely colorful. And to hear these two grown men motherfuck each other, it was awesome. It made me laugh a lot. Out of all the little rehearsals and all their little shenanigans, I think that's my favorite.
Yo no, Iván Torres, yo me cago en toda la familia Torres. En los Torres del pasado, en los Torres del presente y en los Torres del futuro. En todos los Torres.
I really like the press conference at the film festival where, we talked about how Penelope Cruz is so just, this is mine. I don't care what you think about it. But Antonio Banderas is so funny in that, like, because that's the culmination of all the things we've watched him do throughout the movie as an actor, pull it all together. And when he keeps trying to, he's trying to get through the sentence and whatnot, and then he looks up to heaven, it says, mi hermano, like, it's that's really good. But I enjoyed the award sequence too, as like maddening as it is. There's just kind of, she tells them what they're doing when they're saran wrapping him. She's like, I want to make you guys as one, and then it just like cuts to her standing on the stage and looking up, and then there's this wide shot of an empty auditorium with them saran wrapped together. And when she's obviously shredding their awards, they're trying to like get up, so we get these shots of them like this is like just blob of these two dudes saran wrapped together, just moving in really erratic ways. It's very funny.
When they get to the Ivan's award from the disabled kids, I lost it because you hear his voice. Like the entire time you've mostly heard Banderas crying and like, no, please, no. And then she picks up the one from the disabled kids, and then you hear Ivan go like, not that one, please. No.
Not that one.
Okay, the cancer thing. I was somewhat serious in Contrarians Corner, but it was something that I paused and thought about it. And I've had the benefit of watching this movie twice. So the second time, because I knew it was for sure a joke, I was able to just enjoy the whole thing. But the first time I watched it...
Had you seen it before we did this?
Nope, first time. I didn't know anything.
Is that your new thing? Do you just watch everything we do twice now?
If I haven't seen it before and I know it has a good reputation, I try to watch it twice, because that way the first time I'm just watching it and I can like give you I'm giving it like a full shot, like something like The Great Wall, which we ended up enjoying a lot. But The Great Wall, I was like, I don't need to watch this twice. Yeah,
that's fair.
I
Did you watch Folie à Deux twice?
Fuck no. Again, I knew what I was getting into, but
I set the bar there too high. I should have gone with Blade Runner to 2049. I was going to ask if you watched that twice, but I know the answer to that.
Well, I mean, technically I did, because I watched it in theaters when it came out. So no, if it's a movie that I haven't watched before, I try to, just because mainly for real talk, because I can be funny about it in Contrarians Corner without really thinking too much about it, because we're just fucking around. But then I want to give it a fair shot. And I knew that Ben liked it a lot. So, and in this case, the specific sequence with the cancer fake out, I mean, it was the first time I watched it, I really didn't know what to expect. Like I thought that it was a joke, right? Because it would make sense for it to be a joke, because the movie's not. We're like halfway through the movie, at least, when that happens, and the movie has never come close to any sort of deep, serious turns. So I'm like, there's no way that Banderas has cancer. Like, that's really going to change how the rest of the movie plays. But then they didn't like do the reveal, and so I thought, okay, maybe that's what's happening, and so I had this fear of like, man, did they just fuck up? You know, did they ruin the second half of the movie because they're actually going to try to be serious? And I was, but at the same time, I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe it's for the better. Maybe the second half is completely different, and it's still a good movie. It's just going to be kind of weird as a transition. And then, you know, I don't know, 5 minutes later or so, it's finally revealed that it was a fake out. And I was a little conflicted. I'm like, man, why didn't you just put this earlier so we could have all had fun the entire time? And then, like I said, you don't rewatch, you know what's happening, so it's a little easier to take. But I don't know, how do you feel about that? Would you have preferred to know the entire time that he was kidding, or at least to find out right away, instead of them dragging it out for a couple scenes?
I was not bothered by it as the way you apparently were. I mean, the way it's like set up and framed, it looks like he's doing like a screen test, which is really funny. And then because he resolves it, it pays it off like the next day and says, oh, that was a lie. Like if it had gone on for like the duration of the movie until the end and he's like, oh, it's just, kidding. Like, is it John Lovitz on Seinfeld that lies about being sick like that? But yeah, it didn't bother me. I thought it was, I didn't find myself worried or like wrapped up emotionally in it, because I was like, this is going to, pay off somehow. And the fact that I thought that if he was sick, it was going to play into like the culmination, the climax of the movie in some way, of where he, they premiere the movie and then he unveils at the film festival that he had cancer. Something egotistical was going to come from it. So the fact that it just turned out the next day is like, oh no, I was just fucking with you guys. You guys are stupid. I was like, yeah, that checks out.
What I was hoping would happen, like this would be the perfect way to pay her back for destroying the awards. And then it was. So my temporary anxiety was quelled.
There you go.
Yeah, and I like it. And you're right. The way that they shoot it is pretty amazing, because you have the big screen.
One, it's so funny because it's just the stupid shit that Penelope Cruz is making them do, where it's like this fucking Titantron behind them that they're having to like shoot their scenes in front of. It's so funny.
Yeah, so they do the magic trick of, it's a wide shot. So Banderas, the real Banderas, is kind of small, sitting down full, we can see the full thing. But then behind him is a close-up of his face.
Yeah.
So you get to see both. You get the wide shot and you get the close-up all at once, and he's emoting a lot. And is that his Oscar clip? Or because you called his final speech at the press conference the Oscar clip. I would think that it was this one.
Yeah, because it's funnier, like, because this sets up that we expect him to have these powerful moments later in the movie. So yeah, I guess it would have to be this one.
Quiero que la muerte me agarre viviendo. Lola, Iván, yo quiero que mi última película sea una gran película y por mi parte voy a dejarme la piel. Absolutamente.
But anyway, I'd never heard of this movie before. As we'll talk about on post-credits, COVID played a factor in it, both in its creation and its release. And this is awesome that we do this show, and then people like Ben throw movies like this that I've never heard of at me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'll read like a little blurb about what it's about. But I tried pretty much and did go into this background blind, and I was watching on my work computer because work was kind of slow, and it got to the point where I was doing it so much that it was like, no, I want to watch this on the TV later. And so a very positive experience overall with this. It's nothing like groundbreaking, it's nothing that's like, holy shit, this is revelatory, man, because it's an idea that's kind of existed overall, but it's the parts that pull this together. And namely the 3 lead performances in this that make it very memorable. I was nervous when we did Contrarians Corner, or I was taking notes for it. I was like, this is pretty flimsy. I don't know what we're going to be able to pull out of it, but fortunately it worked out. But that's just the whole point. There's really not much there in the way of new or plot or anything like that, but the performances are so good and so funny that this is a hell of a good time, man.
I agree, but what is your score?
What did I give Blade Runner 2049? Because I enjoyed this movie about as much as I enjoyed that. So an A-.
Damn. Did this movie need more Jared Leto?
Oh, God. Well, see, the good thing about that is Blade Runner 2049 is 9 hours long. So the long stretches where Jared Leto's not there, I forget about it. It tricks me into thinking he's not going to come back. Now, we've been on a pretty good stretch recently. I'm not going to lie. Great Wall, Minari, some of the things we've done since then. And I really enjoyed this. So I'll say I'll 4 stars with probably the ability to bump it up to 4.5 upon rewatch if I find it as funny the second time around. But I agree with Ben. There's something keeping it from the full 5. It might not be the same things that keep him from it, but a very good movie nonetheless.
I'm also there. I can't do the full 5 as much as I enjoyed it because, again, at the risk of enraging Lola, I do want to get some meaning out of my movies. And if the entire point of this movie is just to tell me that that the average filmmaker, not the average film, that successful filmmakers and actors are self-absorbed dickheads, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that. I think we all did.
Oh, I already knew that.
Yeah, it's what you just said. It's not revelatory in that sense, right? This movie's not telling me anything new. It's making me laugh a lot, and that's plenty. And I'm not going to begrudge it. I also don't think that this movie's trying to be deep. You know, it's not that, it thinks that it's telling me something that I don't know. No, this movie's just out there to make us laugh, and then even has the decency to give us the disclaimer at the end. Hey, just in case you're wondering, you shouldn't be trying to put any extra meaning on this. This is what it is. It's not referencing anything. It's just its own thing. And I like that. I mean, I like a lot of the things that they say, but it's not saying anything new. And maybe that's how you get to 5 stars. So you have to tell me something. Maybe it's not new, but at least it's attempting to provide some insight. And, it may all tie back to, that's why character arcs are useful, because they really help you connect emotionally to some sort of revelation, even if it's not just for you, at least it's for the character. So if it was that a character in this movie learns that show business is cutthroat and that most of these people only care about themselves, then maybe that gives it that extra where at the end of the movie is like, I laughed a lot, but I also had like some sort of deep reaction to what that character was feeling, And like, kind of like the example that it's kind of like bullshit in Contrarians Corner, right? If the point of the movie is suddenly to have the Penelope Cruz character realize what her limits are and covering up for a murder or a potential murder, that's where, that's too much. I'll be like, all right, I get it. That sets something beyond the nature of the business, but it doesn't quite get there, and that's fine. It's not interested in that. It just wants to make you laugh, and it definitely does that. It did that for me a lot. So I'm going to land on 4 stars. And again, the potential rewatchability of this is great. So it could go up to 4.5. I definitely want to show this movie to people and like,
dude, my dad would hate this movie.
You don't think you find any of it funny, even if you give him the warning? It's like, just so you know, you're not going to like them, but they might make you laugh.
I think he would just be so repelled by the characters, and like he's gotten so much worse as he's gotten older about like it needs to have some sort of like happiness to it, which I don't know. I'm not old. So maybe that'll happen with me too. I've told you I've softened some, but this was tremendous. My sister would probably really like this, but yeah, this is certainly a movie that I'm going to put the word out about it. And Maybe I'll do the thing where I just adopt a persona of like, you haven't seen official competition? All right.
Where were you in 2021?
Yeah. Let's see here. What's the Blu-ray sitch on it? Oh, okay. It's got a domestic one for only $10 on Amazon Prime. So.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Oh no, but it's got the certified fresh icon on
Ooh,
yeah.
that's right. You can just strip that off and create your own.
Okay, listen to the quote on the front cover. A joy to behold, a crowd-pleasing comedy. Love it.
Not every crowd. Our crowd.
Yeah. Thinking of Nelson Muntz, another great Simpsons joke is when they go to see Naked Lunch and they come out and Nelson goes, I can think of at least 2 things wrong with that title.
That's great. All right, Ben, we liked it. We liked it a lot. About as much as you, maybe a little less. I don't know. We can talk about it again next time that we all chat. But this was great. Again, our last episode of 2025. Should we announce, Alex, as we know what comes next? Should we announce it now? I guess we should, right? Like how we're opening 2026. Well, okay. So the first thing that's going to drop on the main feed in 2026 is the 1984 FIRF. So Fresh Immigrants Run Fascists. It'll be a fascist episode. 1984. That conversation has been recorded already. It's a process of being edited. But then, as far as Contrarians stuff, we're going to open, like we've done the past few years, with another Denzel Washington movie. Alex looked through Denzel's filmography and he put his finger on John Q.
This is Lieutenant Frank Grimes of Chicago Police Department. Are you the man in charge?
That's right.
Well, who am I speaking to?
John Q.
I assume since all the doors are locked, this is a hostage situation. Is that correct?
A movie that I think I've seen, but not fully. Like, I have had it play in the background. That's The Hospital, right? Like, he takes a hospital hostage?
Correct.
Okay. This should be fun. So that's your homework. Watch John Q or become reacquainted with John Q. And that's how we're going to start the Contrarians year, 2026. Now, on the Patreon side of things, patreon.com/Contrarian Prime, you go there, you sign up, and you're going to see my fresh attempts at playing with the software CapCut, which means that I'm doing some video editing. I grabbed some of the footage from the Great Wall post credits we recorded, and I just kind of played with it. So if you want to hear me talk about what movie I'm telling you about in there, Begonia. I'm telling you about Begonia, and then Alex is telling me about his dad's new RV. Just a quick video showing you.
Oh yeah, I didn't even remember that got recorded.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was just literally like, okay, let's take this chunk that is not the post credits, and then I played to see what was in it. And I was like, oh, this is fun. We can do something with this. You only get to see it if you're a patron, so sign up. When you sign up, you'll also have access to our bonus Christmas episode, which is going to be the Gremlins 2 commentary. That should be up by the time you guys see this. And you also have our previous Patreon episode on Open Range, the Kevin Costner Western with Robert Duvall. There's an After Hours where Alex tells me about Scott Pilgrim and I tell him about Juror Number 2. So there's a lot of cool stuff. As we're recording this, we're trying to just tell you about the things that are there, and this is not there yet, but I'm going to go ahead and make the promise anyway. There is a Die Hard QVR requested by Jamie Russell that I'm really going to try to record and edit before I go on my trip to Peru for Christmas. So that will probably be there. Anyway, patreon.com/Contrarian Prime. Check that out. You'll see everything that's available, which goes back, 5 years of Patreon by now? So it's a lot of stuff.
John Cena is retiring from professional wrestling, so now's the perfect time to go back and finally listen to our Rock Cena mega journey. And if you listened to it before, relive it, because there's a lot of things that have aged hilariously in there.
Man, those two men are different places in their lives and careers. Since
accurate.
I sent you that screenshot, right? Yeah, I did, of Brendan Fraser and The Rock and Dwayne Johnson.
Dude, Dwayne doing like actors on actors now.
Yes.
Fuck's sake, man.
But they have history because they were together sort of in The Mummy 2. The Mummy Returns.
Yes, I did see the clip of them joking about that, which was really funny because Brendan's like, people have come up to me like, you got to work with Dwayne Johnson. I'm like, kind of. There was a stick that people were like, this is where Dwayne's going to be.
Yeah. I'm glad that they can laugh about that.
I think financially they're doing okay for themselves. So.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening, and let's get out of here, Alex.
Take care, y'all. Happy holidays. Welcome to our end credits.
Or as we usually call them, our perennial plugs.
We start off by giving thanks to the Festive Years who provide our opening and closing tracks. They kick us off with Last Stand and take us home with Summer of 99. Be sure to head over to thefestiveyears.com for any and all Festive Years needs.
Our friend and fellow podcaster Hans Rothgieser is the man behind our logo and all the art you see related to our show. Reach out to him and let him know how much you like that little tomato. His email address is mildemonios@hotmail.com and his website is mildemonios.pe. That's MILDEMONIOS. Hans, thank you for all your support.
For those interested in the regularly absurd world of professional wrestling, Joe and the boys over at latenightgrin.com have you covered. Tell them the Contrarians sent you.
And we like to close with special thanks to our social media team of Zoe Perez and Corey Ari. Each of the social media accounts we mentioned in the introduction look as good as they do because of their work.
So that'll do it for this episode of The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong, and we will catch you next time.
Just for old time's sake, I really don't care who